Hey, good afternoon. This is Ed Ullmann, the pharmacist, and the lovely wellness center on the mountaintop of Tannersville, New York. Okay, let's start with the good news. New York State, and now most of all the other northeastern states, have had great success in getting a handle on the spread of the coronavirus. New York is reopening in a responsible way, and daily deaths from the virus is now down to 10 versus a high of 800 back in April. And now we're finding that less than 1% of individuals in New York State that are being tested for the virus are only positive. That's only 1% that are testing positive. Good news. And who knew that New York, once the epicenter for the coronavirus, would now have the lowest transmission rates in the United States. Now, I'm not overly a big supporter of our governor, but I want to say that I've been extremely impressed with his leadership skills to take us from the epicenter to a point where we can intelligently start to reopen the economy. So it's good news for New York. However, we're still cautious, and cancellations all over continue. And then this week, they pulled the plug on the New York Marathon, which is the largest road race in the world. So prudence is still there, and I think we're going to still continue to see some major cancellations. One of the things that I think we have to look at, and this is, where is this virus going here, and where is it going throughout the world? Let's just stay here in the United States. We have 4% of the world population, and we now have experienced 132,000 deaths, and many are expecting or projecting 180,000 deaths by October. So putting into context, in the United States, 4% of the population, we have 25% of all of the deaths from the coronavirus. And some of the best experts that I looked at this last week, trying to kind of get a sense of just how many individuals in the United States have had the virus at one time or the other, and they're now estimating 20 million Americans, or about 6% of our population, have had the virus, and it will continue to grow. Now, the big challenge you've been reading all about is that 14 states have reported a 25% increase in cases, and there's no relief in sight. Most disturbing to me has been the state of Arizona, where 23% of the people who are being tested are coming up for positive corona. 23%. And I don't know about you, but the state of Florida really should be a concern to all of us. They're reporting 5,500 new cases per day, and the partying just keeps going on nonstop. Now, an investigation of just one bar in Central Florida by one of the universities, they found that from that one bar alone, 152 individuals tested positive for the coronavirus. You just cannot have individuals that close contact without masks. We now know that the number one way that the coronavirus is spreading is by very close contact, and it's just coming right as you speak. And then they're partying, and then they get alcohol-induced, and then they're dancing, and they're sweating, and having a good time. What do we think is going to happen? Well, we're seeing it. And what does that mean, okay? Well, it now means that new daily cases of the coronavirus in the United States just hit its peak on Wednesday. We thought it was ugly back in April. Well, we just exceeded that for total number of cases. Whew. Now, the other thing we're looking at is that we now are knowing that young adults that thought they were immune are testing in growing numbers. And what that's going to do, it's going to make the reopening of our colleges and our high schools even more difficult. So we've got to get this word out there of what we've done in New York and hope that that can be shared by other states. Now here's some observations that I had for this week that I thought was interesting. We know the reopening of our local economy, state economy, not going to be easy. I spoke with 5 business owners in our area, and I wanted to kind of get their pulse of where are they now, and they are all in retail. And I think across the board, they're a little numb. They had a lot of time to think, reflect on themselves, their businesses, what's important, what's not. And they all are looking at reopening a little differently, but all have looking at it cautiously. And their spirit's not back. Now, what can happen? Well, if we get support from the local community, if they get a good weekend, if things start to move, they can get that spirit back and get the business back. But it's going to take some time. I also am very concerned about the reduced revenues that our governments are now starting to see from the reduced sales tax revenue and on and on and on. This can get serious. It can force real strong layoffs, early retirements, and overall reduced services. And what we really are going to look at is if the bill in Congress that is passed that helps to provide grants to our municipalities are going to be there, we'll be okay. But if not, we're in for a lot of pain on our municipal side. I also, in the good news, I counted only 8 people in our store this week that didn't have masks. And when I went over and gave them a mask, they said thank you, and everything went on. We didn't have any issues, and I thought that was a positive thing. But I also understood the growing frustration of people to say, you know, I'm done with the virus, and I'm done with these masks. And I understand that. I understand, but we have to understand the virus is not done with us. So we've got to be cautious. I also thought it was interesting this week that the CDC reported that the success rate for the flu, the regular flu vaccination this year was only 30% of those who got vaccinated. Now normally it's about 50, 60%, but it's telling you just how tricky both the influenza virus is and now the coronavirus is. And that it doesn't mutate, but it's fast moving and it's hard to get a very good vaccination made. So we still got to be encouraged that we're on the right road to get a vaccination, but it's going to be a little tricky. I'd like you today I want to leave you with a story that happened. We have a 20-year-old intern who is a graduate of the local high school, and she's studying to be a nurse. And she's doing a great job. And we had one of our 80-plus patients come in, and I had this moment that I said to her, I go, come here, I want to introduce you to him. And I go, I want you to look in his eye and understand that he represents a great generation in America. This is a generation that a handshake meant something. You could take it to the bank. This is a generation, I told her, that he always put his country and his family first. Then he put his community next. And it was only at the end that he put himself first. I go, that's the generation of Americans that I want you to know about. And what this is ultimately, it's self-sacrifice versus self-interest. And there was a time that we all stood tall. That's what this generation is about. And we, for the principle of action, This is protecting our freedom, not taking it for granted, believing in fairness for all. And it was at a time when we understood that our American experiment with democracy was our soul. And it was our ideals as Americans, which was emulated by others all around the world. I wanted her to know what it looked like. It was a really powerful moment. And one of the things I basically felt was, you know, how important is this as we move forward that the interns generation, the 20-year-olds generation, find ways to connect with the older generations that do have some wisdom to share. And I said, that's important now more than ever. And you know, I've got to challenge our seniors. You need to reach out to this younger generation. Share your stories. Share being an intern for them. Share your values. Share your love. They need it. And I know while many older Americans may think that the younger generation is disinterested or just too self-absorbed, I can tell you from my 5 years of experiences here at our Wellness Center, interacting with young adults from all over, including many in our hometown here, that if they feel that you're authentic, if they feel that you're caring, if they feel that you want to reach out to help them to become a better human being, that they're open for it. And they will welcome the experience. So let's get these generations together. It's important. You know, it's now time to put our hearts into motion. We need to hang in there together. We're not through this. We need to be smart with our actions. But if we do all work together, a new America is on the horizon. See you next week.